Was there a Trump presidency honeymoon and I missed it? Because the honeymoon is over. Forget about touting and crowing about your accomplishments in the first 100 days. The public hates Donald Trump's presidency. The results are in. If this was a Broadway show, it would have already closed based on these reviews. And this is not just the Siena poll or the Times poll. This is the Fox News poll as well. We've had a series of polls that have come out in anticipation of the first 100 days of the Trump administration, and it is terrible. And it is the reason we are watching the erratic performance of Donald Trump and not the other way around. He becomes more erratic when he follows the polls and cable TV news and changes his position because, frankly, there's no executive function in the executive branch, if you know what I mean. There's no thought process there's no thought in the thought process. And here's what the polling now shows. This is all up to the minute this week in the last couple of days. In terms of words to describe Donald Trump's presidency so far, the vast majority, almost 2/3, would use the word chaotic. 66%. 60% would use an even worse term, scary. That, and the fact that it's way up into the 6 with a 6 handle in the beginning, that means he's losing independents and Republicans that voted for him. It's not just the Democrats that are saying it because that would only cover about 50%. It's getting into the 66 percentile because of Republican loss. In fact, the polling now shows that 16%, double digits of Republicans think he's exceeded his own powers. And for independents, it's even a worse story for Donald Trump. 62% of independents. And you can't win the midterms or the next presidency if you're a Republican without independents. 62% hate Donald Trump and his policies. Another poll that came out a couple of days ago, 51% of America, which is a 7-point gain for the Democrats, would give the House and the Senate to the Democrats at this point. Independent voters' approval rating of Donald Trump. You think his approval rating, which now sits at anywhere between 42 and 44%, depending upon the Fox News poll or the other polls, but still terrible. This is the worst polling for a president at this point in his administration in history. The only one who was slightly worse or slightly better was Trump's first administration. And he's not just missing the poll numbers by a little. He's missing the poll numbers by a lot. You know, presidents that are considered doing well in their first term, the honeymoon period, they're beating him by like 6 to 15 points. Joe Biden was at 52%. This guy's at 42%. And presidents that are really doing well, like Obama and Bush and all of that, they're in the 60s. Reagan in the 60s, maybe even 70s, right? This guy's 42%. And one of the things that is weighting him down considerably is a 29% approval rating for independents. Think about that for a minute, right? 2/3 of independents, 70% of independents, more than 2/3, think this guy is off his rocker and has exceeded his powers. And listen to the point drop from where he was during the last set of polling coming into his administration. Here's the approval ratings about approval and disapproval ratings for Donald Trump and how he's handling things from the Siena poll out today. His job as president, 42%, 54% disapproving. That's negative 12 points. That's a minus 12 not approving. Immigration, 47% says he's not doing a good job, and that's his signature item. 51% disapprove. That's a minus 4. Approval, disapproval. Managing the federal government, all that Doge, all that chainsaw, Musk, how's that doing? Not great. Minus 8 approval, disapproval rating. 44 approve, 52% said you've gone too far. The economy, that's always, in Donald Trump's mind, a Republican strong suit. He got elected based on people's belief that the economy would skyrocket. Well, it didn't. Well, it soared, except it soared like the Hindenburg, and then it exploded in the first 75 days because of Donald Trump's erratic policies, tariff policies, cost cutting, cutting off federal funding around the world. Those all are terrible things. So that the economy, negative 12%. Negative 12-point difference, approval, disapproval. Trade, negative 11 points. Only 42% believe he claims, I know what I'm doing. Just cool it. I know what I'm doing on trade. The art of the deal. Woo. Yeah. Public doesn't believe you. Negative 11-point differential there. Foreign conflicts. Like, I'm good at solving war, aren't I? He's so bad at solving war. He had to take time out and sit on a folding chair in the Vatican during Pope Francis's funeral in order to buttonhole Zelensky to try to get him to agree to this peace deal where he has to chop up his sovereignty and chop off limbs of Ukraine in order to get a deal with Putin. And all Donald Trump can say after hours spent by his real secret Secretary of State, Steve Witkoff, forget about Marco Rubio, he's not the Secretary of State, Steve Witkoff, Donald Trump's crypto and golfing buddy, is doing all the heavy lifting. And after 3 or 4 hours with Putin, and Putin bombing the crap out of Kiev, and all Donald Trump could say was, Vladimir, no! Or as Biden once said, stop! And now he says, I just don't, after he met with Zelensky at the Vatican, he said, I just don't think that Putin wants peace. No crap, Sherlock. And the polling says it, because here's how they think about his handling of foreign conflicts. Negative 14 points between approval and disapproval rating, 40 to 54. The war between Russia and Ukraine in particular, 21 points. 21-point differential says America thinks you suck when it comes to Ukraine. And no, you didn't solve it coming out of the campaign like you said you would. The case involving Kilmer Abrego Garcia, the one where the guy was deported over an order that kept him in this country and stopped him from being sent to El Salvador, that Donald Trump's been kicking and screaming about and won't agree to the Supreme Court's ruling. He better hurry up and fix it because the public thinks he's wrong by a 21-point swing. They think he's right. Only less than 1/3 of America thinks he's right on this issue. And Donald Trump is a student of polls. He's a creature of polls. That's why we've already started to see less fighting with the United States Supreme Court, more working to get Abrego Garcia home. Now you know why from these polls. And now it's seeped into the water supply, and the public wants to run the Republicans out on a rail. The ones that are supposedly running Congress, that do nothing, doormat, wet noodle of a Congress in MAGA's hands. Yeah, America doesn't like it. They like their separation of powers. They like their checks and balance, especially when they see a lawless president where more than 56% of the people, including a fair number of Republicans, thinks Donald Trump has exceeded his authority. That's a shocking number. The two numbers that I came with that just blew my mind was 16% of Republicans thinks Donald Trump has exceeded his powers. And only 29% of independents who gave him the benefit of the doubt, I'm going to vote for him for a third time. I don't know why I use that accent. I apologize. 29% of independents only, under a third, think that give him an approval rating. You can't win if you're Republicans. They got to be worrying about holding the House and the Senate. They're not going to improve their numbers in the Senate. They're going to lose the House and the Senate. And that's a good thing. And as I've said, and it fits on a bumper sticker, give me the House and the Senate. I'll give you an impeachment and a conviction of Donald Trump. Because these numbers tell me that the public is not with Donald Trump. And you're going to start watching, right, these last minute shifts and sea changes in policy by Donald Trump because the polls scared him. Just like when he tried to F with the economy and throw over the game board of the U.S. economy all in 2 weeks as part of his flood the zone and shock and awe policy. And where is that on what page of Project 2025 that I need to implement today? It freaked him out when Wall Street got on the phone literally to call him. Jamie Dimon on line 1 to please hold for the president. The guy that runs Pershing Square hedge fund on line 2, please hold for the president. Mr. President, we have the heads of Walmart and Home Depot and other chains in the green room waiting to enter. Change your policy. You're killing us with your China tariffs. Change your policy. You're killing us with global trade issues. You're not helping us. And then all of a sudden I was like, well, maybe I went a little too far with China. And maybe 145% trade tariff is unsustainable and too high, says the Treasury Secretary, after all these people come and visit Donald Trump. If he doesn't get phone calls, he doesn't get meetings that make him change his policy because he has no values, he has no convictions, right? He watches it on cable news. Oh, what's on Maria Bartiromo today? What's on the Fox talking heads today? What's on Newsmax? Oh, and then his handlers have to worry about pumping up his ego. Get him out. Let him play golf every weekend. Go ahead, get him out of Washington. Get him out of here, And then you watch all of his people around him, Pete Hegseth, go down the drain because he was never qualified in the first place to be the head of the Pentagon, right? And so Trump's down today. Oh, he's eating a lot of McDonald's. What do we do? Handlers say, he needs some adulation. Get him to a safe space. We got to hurry up and trot him out and bring him to a World Wrestling Federation event or MMA event. Or is there a college championship or a NASCAR? Oh, Miami's got the Grand Prix. We'll bring him to the Grand Prix. That's what they have to do to assuage and massage his ego. And all he can do when he sees these poll numbers is, the pollsters always get it wrong. The Fox pollster's terrible. Murdoch said so. They should fire him. He has one point I'll leave this hot take on. At voting time, when Donald Trump runs for office, pollsters had a hard time sort of capturing the support for Donald Trump because a lot of people were embarrassed to tell pollsters they were going to vote for him. And so they underreported his polling numbers by like 3 points. There's like a 3-point drag. So if they say that Hillary's going to win by 2, Trump wins by 1. If they say Kamala's going to win by X, you have to add 3 points back in because of underreporting for Trump. But how does that explain the numbers I just gave you? The 8-point, 12-point, 15-point, 21-point differences. Even if you deduct 3 points, he's still in the hole by a lot. Forget about the first 100 days, Trump. Worry about how you're going to dig yourself out and the American people who are strapped to you like a suicide bomber. How are you going to dig us out over the next year and a half until the midterms? Because you'll have no hope, and the Republicans might as well start looking for private sector jobs right now. Because they will get slaughtered and certainly completely because of their own actions at the midterms. Polls matter, even if they don't matter to actual electoral results. They matter to Donald Trump. He eats them up like fast food, and he changes his policies based on them. When people say to me, when we do our Legal AF hot takes, they say, "What does it matter what the courts say? He's gonna disobey." Not so fast. Not when polling numbers say 30, 2/3 of America says don't disobey. You've exceeded your powers, including Republicans. And he sees that. And then he starts, publicly bashing because he doesn't want to be seen to be changing anything. So he'll trot Alina Habba or Pam Bondi out there or Kash Patel or Stephen Miller to bash. But behind the scenes, he's like, holy shit, my numbers are terrible. I got to do something about it. The public's not going to give me the time I think I need to make these changes. What do? Hit the brakes. Start handing out money. Donald Trump's trying to get tariff money so he can give the rich and the really rich tax breaks. Forget that. Worry about balancing the budget. Worry about our deficit of trillions of dollars. Stop screwing with colleges, law firms, judges, and start doing your job. How about that? Until my next reporting. Hey, you're here already. Hit the subscribe button. We're trying to get to 600,000 by next week. We will do it with your help, I assure you. And that allows me to bolt on some amazing new contributors that are coming on here. Everybody wants to get on Legal AF. We got 2 new contributors next week. We got another 2 the week after that. You're going to love what we're doing here at the intersection of law and politics. Hit the subscribe button. That's the only thing we ask for. It helps. So until my next report, I'm Michael Popok. In collaboration with the Midas Touch Network, we just launched the Legal AF YouTube channel. Help us build this pro-democracy channel where I'll be curating the top stories, the intersection of law and politics. Go to YouTube now and free subscribe at Legal AF MTN. That's at Legal AF MTN.